It's hard to miss.
Let's cut to the chase. Ghostbusters, the video game, is good. So, if you're a fan of the movies, you won't need to worry that you're picking up a cruddy licensed product, and you can instead be happy you got a game that serves the films well. The game has problems, but by and large, it's really fun to use your proton pack to weaken your enemies and wrangle them into a trap. And of course, Ghostbusters is really funny, so even when the gameplay takes a downturn, you'll still have a smile on your face.
What a nightmare.
Thank you. Not the words a rescuing hero wants to hear from his damsel in distress. May I say, your eyes are much prettier when they're not glowing like hot coals.
You play as a nameless addition to the team and never get a word of dialogue. And thank goodness, really, since Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson all reprise their film roles here. The script hits more often than it misses, so while the plot itself really isn't that interesting, the writing is clever and it's bound to make you chuckle. The Ghostbusters all look like themselves within the game, though some stiff animations can make them enter that creepy, uncanny valley territory. You'll bust ghosts in libraries, museums, cemeteries, and even other dimensions. Part of the fun is seeing just what familiar and unfamiliar environments you'll get to explore as you get to the bottom of the evil mind behind New York City's supernatural crisis of 1991.
Looks like an opera singer.
So you run about with the other Busters with the proton pack strapped to your back. It's got 4 different modes, each with primary and secondary modes of fire. You rely most on the main mode, which lets you capture ghosts and fire boson darts, which are balls of energy that weaken enemies. A stream of green goo and the slime tether make up the second most common mode. You won't need the other 2 proton pack modes often. That's too bad, because a few firing modes like the stasis stream have some untapped combat and puzzle possibilities. While not every beastie you encounter can be trapped, capturing ghosts is the best part of Ghostbusters. You weaken your enemy using the weapon mode best suited for the job, and use the capture stream to wrangle it into a trap. It feels a little out of control, but that's why it seems so authentic. It's like trying to reel in a huge fish, so you can expect the floating fiends to put up a fight. Once a ghost is captured, you pick up the trap and go on your way. You'll also face off against some imposing bosses. They're awesome to look at, though they're not all that hard to fight. Because most enemies don't require many kinds of clever tactics, the combat loses its luster sometimes, but just when the loose spraying of regular fighting starts feeling old, a fun capture sequence or cool boss fight will liven things up again. So even though Ghostbusters the game isn't hard, it throws you into a few frustrating battles. It doesn't take much to get knocked out, at which point you need to wait for an AI-controlled teammate to revive you. And you'll need to revive them as well. In a few sections, you'll be getting knocked down and out by projectiles you can't see while running around trying to keep the other Ghostbusters alive. All this when you'd rather be doing the fun stuff instead. This is made more frustrating by small environments with lots of clutter that make it a pain to maneuver. And the awkward Gears of War style sprinting doesn't help matters because it's simply a bad fit in the game's small environments. Still, for every lame moment, there are a number of delights, like the cool catch-em-all scanning mechanic in which you scan the apparitions and relics you find into your database. The single-player portion is over in 7 hours or so, depending on how often you go searching for hidden artifacts and the such. However, there's a surprisingly fun multiplayer experience in here for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 owners. That's right, if you want to play on your PC, you get no multiplayer whatsoever, though you do get a discount price, though it isn't quite a perfectly fair trade-off. PS3 and 360 folks get a relatively simple but truly fun online component that revolves around capturing ghosts cooperatively. You can play a one-off game called a job, or you can string some of them together into a so-called campaign. There are a number of different game types here, though the best is easily thief mode, in which you must protect artifacts from being stolen by pesky ghosts. In another cool mode, you and your buddies compete to capture the most Slimers in a set amount of time. The gameplay doesn't vary much, even throughout the different modes. But there's something uniquely fun about joining up with others and wrestling supernatural creatures together. Some pacing problems crop up here and there, so there are a few moments where nothing happens while you wait for the next bit of dialogue to be triggered. But really, most of what you could expect of a modern Ghostbusters game is all here. You've got really great environments to explore, some great ghosts to capture, and sound and visuals that nail that Ghostbusters vibe. Ray Parker Jr. would be proud.
You've killed my dessert!
Scoreboard reads Ghostbusters 2, Gozer the Gozerian 0. Looking like a real big leaguer out there, champ.
Ray, Peter, we're in position. The trap is set. We're prepared to capture Stay Puft. Where is he?